Today is Bell Let's Talk Day with a focus on youth mental health. CTV National News correspondent Paul Hollingsworth in Halifax has a very personal story to share about mental illness. Paul was in university in 1991 when he received devastating news about his brother Bryce. Since that day, Paul has been advocating for youth mental health. Joining us now to tell us more is CTV's Paul Hollingsworth. Good morning, Paul.
Good morning to you, and thank you for having me on, and good morning to all your viewers who are watching on this chilly winter morning.
Well, thank you so much for making the time for us. Normally, we journalists try to stay behind the camera, but you're putting your story out in front center today. Why is this important to you?
Look, I could answer that question 10 ways, and all the answers would be appropriate, but we'd be here all day. I will put it to you this way. I was just a kid at St. Mary's University 35 years ago, and the week before Christmas, December 16th, 1991, my older brother Bryce, he was 3 years older than me, he took his own life. I called him on a Thursday night to talk to him. I found him on a Monday morning. We buried him the next Thursday morning. And for the last 35 years, a big piece of my big brother Bryce has been buried in my heart. He's 25 years old forever. He's my best friend, my invisible best friend. He walks with me every day. I talk to him every day. And every day, look, if I could go back in time and erase that moment and have him still with me and have him be a part of my story and me a part of his story, I'd still do that. But that moment also became a turning point where I knew that if I worked hard in a certain way and lived my life a certain way and tried to stay connected in my community in a positive way, treat my friendships and relationships like personal codes of conduct, I could make maybe a difference, maybe connect with one person, maybe spare a family the pain that my family went through by just trying to shine some light on young people and people in my community. I have one basic principle, one foundational rule. If something happens to someone in my community, it happens to me. And it's a good way to live my life, I think, but in a day like today, it's a good reminder of what the mission is and what my daily artillery is when it comes to, pushing forward on this issue of staying connected to young people and people of all ages in our community to focus on mental health and let them know they're not alone.
Were there any indications with your brother that he was struggling?
Yeah, it's a good question. First of all, very normal in the early years. We were both, big hockey fans, big baseball fans, into sports, into clothing. Back in the 80s, people were preppy. We kind of dressed like that. And we had a lot in common. He was a tall, handsome guy, had a lot going for him. And if I took you back and showed you his life, say 40 years ago, you wouldn't see it coming. He slowly withdrew from friendships. A darkness, a depression started to come over him that we didn't know how to identify or talk about back in those days. He descended into alcohol and drug abuse, which is very common with people who share the same story that he had in his life. And we all in my family, my mother, my father, my two siblings, my grandmother who lived in the same house with us, we all knew something was not right. We didn't know how to tackle it. We didn't know how to talk about it. We didn't know how to reach out to him. And my attitude was, well, whatever's going on with him, he's going to shake out of it. Well, he never shook out of it. And the rest of the story is that he's no longer with us. It's a heck of a lesson to learn in life. It was a wake-up call for me. It was a turning point for me. And it's a reminder that you should always look around, look to your left, look to your right, and make sure the people who are close to you or the people in your community are doing okay. Look for those reminders, those warning signs that something might be off with somebody. And a phone call, a text message, a kind gesture, always encourage, never discourage. If we apply those things to the people in our world, maybe it can help just a little bit, just a little bit. And imagine for a moment if we did that every single day and you could look back and say, hey, I had a positive impact on that person and that person and that person. Maybe some good comes from the terrible tragedy that happened to my brother.
Well, Paul, my deepest sympathies to you and your family, and thank you so much for sharing your personal story with us this morning.
It's my pleasure, and thank you for having me on the show. I'm very grateful to join you this morning.